Hello everyone, welcome to Learning Management System, Department of Collegiate and Technical Education. Today I will be starting discussion on definition of fuel cells and classifications of fuel cells. So in these slides it shows that the fuel cell diagram. So this slide contains introduction, definition of fuel cells, classifications of fuel cells, lastly multiple choice questions. Introduction of fuel cell. A fuel cell can be defined as an electrochemical cell that generates electrical energy from fuel by an electrochemical reaction. These cells requires a continuous input of fuel and an oxidizing agent, generally oxygen, in order to sustain the reactions that generate the electricity. Therefore, these cells can constantly generates electricity until the supply of fuel and oxygen is cut off. Despite being invented in the year 1938, fuel cells began commercial use only a century later, when they were used by NASA to power space capsules and satellites. Today, these devices are used as a primary or secondary source of power for many facilities, including industries, commercial building and residential buildings. The fuel cell definition. Fuel cell is an electrochemical energy conversion device that converts chemical energy of the fuel cell is directly into DC electrical energy. A fuel cell is similar to electrochemical cell, which consists of a cathode and anode and electrolytes. In these cells, the electrolyte enables the movement of the protons. The fuel cell supplied to the negative electrode called anode. The oxidant is supplied to the positive electrode called cathode. Each fuel cell generates an average DC voltage of about 0.7 volt. and several cells are connected in a series parallel combination to increase the current and voltage. Today, these devices are used as a primary or secondary source of power. This is the general constructions of fuel cell. The fuel cell is a similar with storage battery. It has anode, a fuel electrode, and cathode, oxygen electrode. Both the electrodes are made by the porous material. And porous anode is immersed in a hydrogen at a certain pressure, will act as a fuel bubbles across the anode. The porous cathode is immersed in oxygen at a certain pressure, will act as a fuel bubbles across anode, and here the cathode sides, the oxygen bubbles across the cathode side. The hydrogen fuel is filled at the anode side. The H2 ions moves from anode side to electrolyte through a porous electrodes. Thus, the anode is left with a negative charge. Oxygen or air is fed at a cathode side, and oxygen ions moves from cathode side to electrolyte through a porous electrodes. Thus, the cathode is left with a positive charge. Then, excess anode electrons flows to the cathode, causes flow of electrical current. H2 ions and O2 ions combines in the electrolyte and forms a water, which leaves the cell in the form of steam. Then, the classifications of fuel cells. The fuel cells are classified by their electrolyte material. At the present time, there are several types of fuel cells that are being developed by applications as small as cellular phone. It is 0.5 watts to a large as a smaller power plant for an industrial facility or a small town. It is approximately 10 megawatts. The types of fuel cells are as follows, and few of them are also explained here. So based on the type of electrolyte used, the fuel cells are classified as phosphoric acid fuel cells, PAFC, alkaline fuel cell, AFC, polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cell, PEMFC, molten carbonate fuel cell, MFCFC, and solid oxide fuel cell, SOFC. So these are the classifications of fuel cells. Multiple choice questions. First one, the fuel cell is an dash dash energy conversion device. Electrochemical, B solar, C kinetic, D mechanical. The fuel cell is an electrochemical energy conversion device. The answer is A, electrochemical. Second one, the fuel cell consists of two electrodes with dash dash between them. A water, B hydrogen, C electrolyte, D oxygen. The fuel cell consists of two electrodes with a electrolyte between them. The answer is C, electrolyte. Third one, the fuel cell converts chemical energy into dash dash energy. A mechanical, B DC electrical, C AC electrical, D kinetic. The fuel cell converts chemical energy into DC electrical energy. So the correct answer is B, DC electrical energy. Fourth one, each fuel cell generates an average DC voltage of about dash dash A 0.6 volt, B 1 volt, C 0.9 volt, D 0.7 volt. Each fuel cell generates an average DC voltage of about 0.7 volt. The answer is D. Fifth one, several cells are connected in series parallel combination to increase the current and voltage. It is A true, B false. The several cells are connected in series parallel combination to increase the current and voltage. It is true. Answer is A. Sixth one, dash dash is used as a fuel in fuel cell. A oxygen, B electrolyte, C hydrogen, D water. Hydrogen is used as a fuel in fuel cells. The answer is C. Hydrogen. Seventh one, the fuel cell consists of dash dash electrodes. A 1, B 4, C 3, D 2. The fuel cell consists of 2 electrodes, anode and also cathode. These two are made by the porous materials. Therefore, the fuel cell consists of 2 electrodes. Answer is D. Eighth one, PAFC. It means phosphoric acid fuel cell. It is A true, B false. PAFC means phosphoric acid fuel cell. The answer is true. The answer is A. Ninth one, dash dash electrolytic membrane fuel cells, PMFC. A phosphorus, B polymer, C power, D. None of the above. The polymer electrolytic membrane fuel cell. The answer is B. Polymer electrolytic membrane fuel cell. PEMFC. The answer is B. 10th one. In fuel cell, two electrodes are used, namely anode and also cathode. The answer A. True. B. False. In fuel cell, two electrodes are used, namely anode and cathode. The answer, it is true. Answer is A. These are the reference books and also e-sources. This is the team which is the responsible for developing the contents of definition of fuel cells and classifications of fuel cells. Thank you, one and all.